Welcome back to Timeless Messages from the I Ching. This is Stephen. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're doing well. So the question for today's video is, what are the most beneficial messages for viewers at the time they find this video? What are the most beneficial messages for viewers at the time they find this video? And the two hexagrams that came through, as you see, are the number 49, revolution or molting. Molting means the change of an animal's fur over the course of the seasons. New fur replaces old fur. Or you could think of a snake shedding its skin, or even humans shedding skin cells regularly. That's a molting as well. All different examples of molting. So number 49, molting, revolution, which is the youngest daughter, Tui, the joyous lake, on the top trigram, and Li, the middle daughter, on the bottom trigram. Excuse me. Then that changes to number 42, increase. And without further ado, let's get into it. If you'd like to relax your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and just have some stress reduction, I'll begin the interpretation. So the idea of molting applies to political life, can apply to many different things, personal life as well, but particularly great revolutions connected with changes of government. Of course, we can see a lot of revolutionary energy occurring here in 2023 with the outcry in Iran for greater human rights and less oppression by the government. Of course, the Ukrainian defense against Russia's invasion still ongoing. Lots of different things happening on the planet to indicate revolution. So here in this particular hexagram, we have the youngest daughter on top, and the youngest daughter, this particular energy of the joyous lake flows downward, and the energy of the middle daughter, or Li, fire, flames upward. So they are butting their heads against each other, and they are in conflict. They're combating each other as water and fire, each trying to destroy each other, hence the idea of revolution. So revolution, on your day you are believed, supreme success, furthering through perseverance, and remorse disappears. Political revolutions are extremely serious matters. They should be undertaken only when the stress is of the most difficult necessity, when there's no other way out, and not everyone is called to the task, but only the person who has the confidence of the people, and even then, only when this person knows that the time is ripe. And this person must proceed in the right way so that they gladden and enlighten the people, and therefore prevent excesses from occurring in the revolution. Furthermore, the person must be free of selfish aims and must relieve the needs of the people. Only then does this person have nothing to regret. Times change, and with them their demands. Thus the seasons change in the course of the year. In the world cycle, there are spring and autumn in the life of the peoples and in the life of nations and governments, and these call for social transformations. I wonder what season the United States would be in terms of summer, autumn, winter, or fall. My guess would be at least fall, maybe approaching winter. The image, fire in the lake, the image of revolution. Thus the superior person sets the calendar in order and makes the seasons clear. Fire below and the lake above combat and destroy each other, and in the course of the year a combat takes place between the forces of light and the forces of darkness, resulting in a revolution of the seasons. Humanity masters these changes in nature by noting their regularity and marking off the passage of time. And in this way, order and clarity appear in the chaotic changes of the seasons. When a person is able to adjust themselves in advance to the demands of the different times, then they can adjust and roll with these different changes much more fortuitously. So in terms of the changing lines, we have the 9 in the third place. 9 in the third place, starting brings misfortune, perseverance brings danger. When talk of a revolution has gone around 3 times, one may commit themselves and people will believe this person. When change is necessary, there's 2 mistakes to be avoided. One lies in excessive haste and ruthlessness, which bring disaster, and the other mistake lies in excessive hesitation and being too conservative, which are also dangerous. Not every demand for change in the existing order should be heeded or made. On the other hand, repeated and well-founded complaints should not fail of a hearing. When talk of change has come to one's ears 3 times and has been thought about and pondered well, a person may believe and accept in it. Then this person will meet with belief and will accomplish something. So the next changing line is the 9 in the 4th place. Remorse disappears. Men and women believe. Changing the form of government brings good fortune. Radical changes require adequate authority. A person must have inner strength as well as influential position. What this person does must correspond with a higher truth and must not spring from arbitrary or petty or insignificant motives. Then their motivation brings great good fortune. If a revolution is not founded on such inner truth, the results are bad and it has no success. For in the end, humanity will support only those undertakings which they feel instinctively to be just. And then the final line that changes, the 6th in the top position. The superior person changes like a panther. The inferior person changes in the face. Starting brings misfortune. To remain persevering brings good fortune. After the large and fundamental problems are settled, certain minor reforms and elaborations of these are necessary. These detailed reforms may be likened to the equally distinct but relatively small marks of a panther's coat. As a consequence, a change also takes place among the inferior people. In conforming with the new order, they likewise change. But their change, it is true, does not go very deep, but that is not to be expected. We must be satisfied with the attainable, for if we should go too far and try to achieve too much, it would lead to unrest and misfortune. For the object of a great revolution is the attainment of a clarified, secure condition and ensuring a general stabilization on the basis of what is possible at that moment. So to recap these changing lines, the 3 in the 3rd, 9 in the 3rd place, we don't want to be hesitating excessively, and we don't want to be too conservative. We don't want to be too conservative or hesitating. Also, we don't want to be too quick and ruthless when we're working on a revolution. Not everything should change. Not every demand for change should be acted on. But if we have heard news of change 3 times, then this indicates that the need for that change is likely quite necessary. And then we may be believed as we share these different ideas about the necessity of change, and we will meet with belief and will accomplish something. So the 9 in the 4th place requires an adequate authority in a person or persons of influential position, and it must correspond, the revolution must correspond with a higher truth rather than insignificant and unimportant motives. So the revolution really has to be secured and have a foundation of inner truth, or else its results will not be successful, they will be bad. For humanity, in the end, will only support undertakings that they feel are instinctively just and right. So we have to make sure that what we're changing is instinctively right and just for the whole of humanity, for the greatest amount of people, the greatest solution for the greatest amount of people over the greatest amount of time. And the final line, the 6th at the top, superior persons will change like a panther. Panther has a significant change in its external appearance, whereas an inferior person will only show a small change, let's say, in their facial expressions. So quite a big difference, but we shouldn't expect too much, for even inferior people will change, but to the degree to which they can do so, we have to be satisfied. We should not try to strive for too much, or if we try to go too far and achieve too much, it'll just lead to social unrest and misfortune. So the ideal goal is a clearer, secure condition that has a greater general stability and prosperity and goodness for all of humanity based on what's possible at the moment. Now this can be also in your own personal life too. You can apply these concepts as well. But particularly we're thinking about the idea of changes in government and culture. Then we move to number 42, increase. Here we have the upper trigram, the gentle wind, above the lower trigram, the arousing thunder. So the idea of increase is expressed in the fact that the strong lowest line of the upper trigram has taken its bottom, the lower line position of the lower trigram, the yang line, the masculine line, the solid line. And this idea expresses a fundamental ideas that the Book of Changes is based upon, and that is to serve is truly to rule, or to rule truly is to serve. So the person in the serving position becomes the ruler. So a sacrifice of the higher elements in society, higher status individuals, higher elements, say large government, produce an increase of the lower persons in the lower status, the persons that don't have as much, don't have as many resources and so forth. And this type of increase is provided by the higher element to the lower element and indicates the type of spirit that alone has the power to help the world. So giving to the poor, helping the underdog, helping the lowly. The judgment increase, it furthers a person to undertake something, and it furthers a person to cross the great water. What's crossing the great water? Of course, it's more than crossing a small puddle. So crossing the great water is doing something important, undertaking a larger project. Sacrifice on the part of those above for the increase of those below fills the people with a sense of joy and gratitude that's very valuable for the flowering of the commonwealth, for the well-being of everyone. And when people are devoted to their leaders, undertakings are possible, and even difficult and dangerous enterprises will be successful. So here we have a government or a culture, a large institution that is being supportive of its people. And the people in force and in response are devoted to that government, to their leaders, because the leaders are doing the right thing and helping the people. So therefore, in times of progress and increase, successful development, it's necessary to work and make the best use of the time. The time resembles a marriage between heaven and earth, when the earth receives from the creative power of heaven, forming and bringing forth living beings. So the time of increase does not endure forever, therefore it must be utilized while it lasts. And what an appropriate hexagram to follow revolution. Here we have significant changes in government, in ourselves, culture, and so forth, across the whole spectrum of ideas, and then more of a stabilization through the activity of increase, where the higher helps the lower, and the lower essentially is loyal and is happy with the outcome and supports the leaders in these undertakings, because they're the leaders and the government and the culture are looking out for the people. The image, wind and thunder, the image of increase. Thus, the superior person, if they see good, they imitate it, and if they see faults in themselves, they rid themselves of these faults. While observing how thunder and wind increase and strengthen one another, a person can understand the way to self-increase and self-improvement. If a person discovers good in others, they should imitate it and thus make everything on earth their own. And if a person perceives something bad in themselves, they should let themselves rid this badness or these poor behaviors from themselves. And in this way, they become free of evil. This ethical change represents the most important increase of personality within the individual. Thus, the increase of personality in the individual assists humanity at large. And of course, the I Ching is always talking about how we can become more like the superior person rather than the inferior person. We're always encouraged to adopt the introspective, contemplative attitude to see what it is we're doing. Is it producing good or negative effects upon ourselves or others? And how can we make modified changes to assist in allowing more goodness and more superior qualities to pour through us and through our interactions? And just like revolution, same thing is being considered when there's a call for change. We have to consider whether it's time for us to make this change or not, and not to hesitate too long, not to try to take on too much at once, but to have a moderate and balanced approach, but understand that the need for change, if it is well understood, then it needs to be a path that we pursue and work on together and also as individuals. Moving from the hexagram of revolution, we see increase. So this paints a very positive picture. For after a revolution, when we see an increase, this is a good sign. This is a good sign that the revolution has been successful. Not that there can't be more change, certainly, but what has been accomplished through the revolution will have a strong stability in the people, because the people in the hexagram of increase are being supported and sustained by the larger institutions of government and culture. Government and culture are not out for themselves, so to speak. They're out for helping the regular person to move forward and upward and have greater commonwealth for everyone. So I would listen to these messages once or twice again and jot down some of the most important ideas and see if you can apply some of these ideas in your own introspective times and in your dealings with others and in your outlook with current events that are happening here on planet Earth in 2023. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning in, and take care.